And
And we are
there we
live.
go.
Okay, folks. So before we get further, I would like my other two panelists to introduce themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to Sci Fi Power. Ish. I am Joe Riley Lemonster, the Gaming Mage, and I welcome you to have some fun as we get ready to have some comedy pies fly.
Yeah. And Pinky?
And this is Piggy Dodd from Video Game Facts. And start off the laughing track because today's topic for the Sci Fi Power Hour is going to be about comedy.
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct. We're talking comedy. So, and of course, it's me, your host, Mr. Red Fox. So, I guess we should start talking about some of our favorite comedic TV shows, and then we'll go into movies. Who wants to go first? And you can use multiple TV shows if you want to, because,
things that TV shows that come to mind are The Simpsons, South Park.
I tried to evade South Park. It's gotten a little edgy for me lately.
South Park, like, I never really found South Park to be funny as in having funny jokes. It's like the scenarios written for the characters is funny. Like when Chef gets married to a succubus and you meet his parents, and his dad's always talking about how he ran into the Loch Ness Monster and it won at like a 350. No Loch Ness Monster. I told you to get away from me. I ain't giving you 350. You know, like that whole premise behind this old black guy talking about how he ran into the Loch Ness Monster and it just wants $3.50, which is just, I mean, that's so fucking random that it's funny.
It's also classic.
That is actually funny.
Yeah.
Wish there was more moments like that as far as I could tell.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about South Park. It's like random shit that they dredge up is hilarious, but when they actually try to tell real jokes, like a joke premise, it's like,
it's like, yeah. The reason, the episode that got me to really run from it was the Pokemon ones.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
I thought it was the fish sticks episode where they try to make fun of Kanye West.
Yeah, that was funny. Where they like, you gotta help my mama get. I'm sorry. That was funny.
I think I jumped ship earlier than that, so that's a good thing.
Well, I mean, like the thing that's great about South Park is when they do a parody of modern culture. Like they did a parody. Like I like the episode where they did a parody where they were pretending to be like Kung Fu warriors. So they changed the entire animation of South Park, and so they wound up like looking like an anime. Like, I'd all just look like an anime
episode.
Yeah, it's pretty damn fun. Because I mean that's how kids imagine shit when they're kids. And then there's some stuff in South Park that's just kind of fucked up, like the other stuff.
You mean like Cartman kills this bully's parents and turn him to chili and have said bully eat him?
Yeah, that was fucked up. Yeah. There's stuff in South Park that's just fun. Like South Park is like the more fucked up version of The Simpsons. It's like The Simpsons, but more fucked up.
Yeah.
But though I see it as more of an edgier, even edgier Family Guy. I thought Family Guy is supposed to be Simpsons, but edgier.
No, the Family Guy is like a dark mirror of The Simpsons. Like basically every major character in
Family
Guy is basically a dark, sadistic, twisted version of a Simpsons character. Peter Griffin is a dark, twisted version of Homer Simpson. His wife Lois is the dark, twisted version of Marge. Meg is a dark, twisted version of Lisa. Chris is a dark, twisted version of Bart.
And
Stewie Griffin.
Oh, God.
Stewie Griffin and Maggie have something in common. Because remember when she shot Mr. Burns?
Yep.
So both of them are pretty damn evil. But at least Maggie doesn't go out of her way to be evil. Like it's like a defensive reaction for her. But yeah. I mean, like the whole thing is basically just like Family Guy is like basically like this is like the dark twisted. It's like the dark universe version of The Simpsons, except like no one's really likable.
It's more like you were watching a train wreck.
Like the only likable person that I like in Family Guy is
For me, it's Brian, and that's barely.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Brian's kind of an asshole. I like Cleveland. Cleveland Brown's pretty cool.
Surprised just he even got his own show.
He's the least annoying character. Because he pretty much he's kind of an asshole too. Like everyone in Family Guy is an asshole, but he's the least asshole-ish of all of them. Like Quagmire's a sex offender.
And Joe Swanson, what about him?
Joe is a guy who's in a wheelchair who's overcompensating for his wheelchairness. Like I said, Peter Griffin is an asshole. His wife is an asshole. Brian, I mean, he's the most likable person in that family, but he's also an asshole. Stewie's an asshole. Well, Chris is cool. I like Chris. He's not that much of an asshole. He just pretty much, he doesn't have much character on his own.
Definitely awkward.
Meg, asshole. I mean, they're just basically just a lot of assholes in Family Guy. It's kind of the problem with Family Guy is that there's no real likable characters in it. Like, there's no one you're like, well, they have their problems, but I like this character. Like The Simpsons, there's still characters that you just feel, you just kind of like. Like, I like a groundskeeper Willie. I liked Mrs. Krabappel before she died. Or sorry, Ms. Krabappel. Even Ned Flanders. I even like Ned Flanders because he's such a great foil for Homer Simpson. And that old man with the weird voice, that the time that Mr. Burns was snorting ether and was huffing ether, and he thought he was a leprechaun, so he took a drill to drill into his head, and they didn't show it, but he's like, "Oh no, my brains!" I mean, it's like people don't like The Simpsons. It's gone on for too long, but I really don't want to see those characters go because there are some really interesting characters in The Simpsons.
It's like watching what is it? The Young and the Restless go on for years.
Well, not that far.
The Simpsons is pretty much the Pokemon in American animation, where it doesn't end.
Yeah, but I mean, there are changes. Like Pokemon, aside from them introducing new generations, like there's no real character growth really. Whereas there are changes. I mean, things get kind of reset back to the status quo, but other things around The Simpsons changes. Like Mrs. Krabappel died, Ned Flanders' wife died, then he got remarried. And I mean, there's just a lot of shit going on, We found out that
reason why I compared The Simpsons to The Young and the Restless.
Velma and Patty, one of her sisters is a lesbian, which isn't surprising. Really, there's nothing surprising about one of.
But then it has the same problem as the whole thing Ash Ketchum has. None of them aged.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, that's the one. I mean, they basically no one ages, but the world around them changes. With Pokemon, it literally, like, aside from them introducing new gens and going to a new region, like Ash doesn't really change.
Changes up.
And there is shit that, I mean, they don't age, but there is shit that changes in their lives. Like, things around them change. Which, I mean, like major lifetime changes, like Homer going back to college or Homer becoming an astronaut. And like, you're thinking, well, that was just a one and done. No, when he meets his mother, he tells her, yeah, I was an astronaut, So that's an event that happened to him, or he goes on a quest with his dad to find his mom. And it turns out his mom was a hippie. Yeah, but she was a hellion. She was a tiger in the sack. Like, yeah, we know. It's like, oh, you must have heard about it. And they look at each other. But anyway, my point is just like there's fundamental changes to the characters, although they don't age. Whereas compared to Pokemon, especially Ash.
Well, actually, the anime is the one thing that makes me glad that I usually keep up with the games more than the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, because
what you just said about the Simpsons also occurs with Pokemon, where they mention past events from those seasons.
Yeah, they do, but they have no practical bearing, is what I'm saying. Like okay, Ash may have gotten far. What?
I was saying that in this instance, it's usually of something that's not of consequences.
Yeah, like okay, there are things that happen in The Simpsons that characters have character growth. So yeah, they don't age, but they have character growth. Like they're different. You've learned more things about them. They've become different people as time went on. Ash is pretty much the same damn person he's been for years and years and years, aside from him being less of a shitty Pokemon trainer. Like, I mean, he doesn't really he doesn't really have a personal journey. He just pretty much the same annoying kind of person. But we're talking comedy, so. You said this. You said South Park. Any others that you like?
King of the Hill.
Oh yeah. Well, I've got. Well, dang it, Bobby. I'll tell you that boy ain't right.
I sell propane and propane accessories.
For me, I got the probably the lamest of them all in a sense. The Two Idiots of MTV.
Beavis and Butthead, another
Mike
Judge show. Yeah. Well, technically, you have the prototype for King of the Hill because the same guy who did the voice for Hank Hill was like a prototype of Hank Hill was in there. Like he was always like, "You boys are on dope," except he was bald in that show. But like, because I remember listening, I'm like I remember when King of the Hill first came on, and I'm like, I know that guy. And then I went back and I watched Beavis and Butthead. I'm like, that's the Beavis and Butthead guy. Basically, it's the same character, except they aged him down and they gave him a kid and a wife. Like, I guess he had a wife in Beavis and Butthead, and you mentioned her, but you never saw her. So,
but I mean, we saw his future, and it wasn't pretty.
Dang it, Bobby! Dang it, Bobby! I tell you what, that boy ain't right. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, me and my wife would have had another kid, but I got that narrow urethra.
Hi there.
Well, if you watch King of the Hill, that's like a major thing.
Yeah, it's a major part of his character trait.
Dang it, Dale, that doesn't make any sense. You leave Bill alone. Bill saved my life.
If you guys get too much in laughing, you might want to drink some water. It might cure you.
But anyway, yeah. So you had Beavis and Butthead. Any other TV shows? Because if you don't, I'm going to dive in, and I got a lot of them.
Let's see, let me think of something. Another comedy I've seen. Oh, what about Futurama?
Futurama was a good one. But Futurama also had some real tear jerkers. But overall, it was pretty good. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. That was the only other show I actually remember that is a comedy, at least to me.
Then there's Robot Chicken.
Yeah,
it's still going, by the way, if you're wondering. Later.
I mean, I like Robot Chicken, but it's Robot Chicken is real hit. I
was going to say it's a variety pack. Sometimes you get chocolate, and sometimes you get the weird flavors.
Yeah, Robot Chicken is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, as I said, sometimes you get some good fine aged chocolate, and a number of times you get the dollar store cream puff candies.
Well, I was gonna say sometimes you get a nice ooey gooey caramel chocolate turtle. And sometimes you take a bite and it's a fucking coconut cluster.
Hey, I'm a fan of coconuts.
And where would the Star Wars and DC specials go into? hit or
It's I'd say 30% of those are funny, and the other, because see, the jokes are so obvious for some of them.
And
You
some of
know,
them are just left field.
yeah, some of them are really obvious. But I guess it's my turn now. So I have to say my first introduction to TV shows comedy was AMC, and I used to watch The Three Stooges. Yeah, yeah.
I
And let me
remember
tell you,
those three.
there is nothing like seeing just people get the
Slapstick.
shit slapped out of them for no apparent reason. Why'd you hit me? That's for what you were thinking, but I wasn't thinking. Well, you keep on not thinking. Leave him alone.
Yeah, and you can tell where some of those things go when those three get into stupid.
And of course, we all know the best Three Stooges are Moe, Larry, Curly, Moe, Larry, Shemp, Moe, Larry, Curly. Or should I say Moe, Larry, Curly, Moe, Larry, Shemp, Moe, Larry, Curly, Moe, Larry, Shemp. Because that's the order, like the different brothers would come and leave. And then when Curly had his stroke and then died, and then Shemp
Bless his
came in,
soul.
and then Shemp died. And then they brought Curly Joe, and it went down to the bricks because Curly Joe sucked. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it just didn't have the same. Because basically, the guy who played Curly Joe, you're not allowed to hit me. Like, what's the point? That's why it's slapstick comedy. You're supposed to get the shit slapped out of you for no reason. That's the point.
If anything, it's kind of sad to know that when two of the three really pass away, that the thing doesn't feel like itself.
Yeah, but it was totally worth it. And I also used to try and watch the Marx Brothers when I was a little kid, really little kid. But the thing about the Marx Brothers is that you have to be an adult to really enjoy the humor, because some of the quips are very like
adult natured.
oriented.
Well, they aren't R-rated. It's just you have to be an adult in order to appreciate some of the jokes, like because they're very like you'd have to have been in adult situations and lived life and stuff like that. So, but now that I'm older and I watch the Marx Brothers, the shit's funny as hell, like Duck Soup and the Great Dictator, stuff like that. Not the Great Dictator. Yeah, I mean it's all really hilarious. So let's see. Of course, I mean it's in my name. Mr. Red Fox, Sanford and Son. That's right, folks. Sanford and Son, which, I mean, you couldn't make that show today because, I mean, just some of the racist stuff that Red Fox said on that show.
It was too much.
Well, you just couldn't make it today. It's hilarious, but you couldn't make like some of the stuff he said.
Then at least.
No, back then it was, it was very groundbreaking, but now you couldn't say the shit they said on that show today. Like you couldn't say, they're driving the property values down, son. What do you mean? He's a Puerto Rican, ain't he? Like you can't say stuff like that today, at least not in polite company and not on national TV. But back in the day, it was perfectly acceptable. Personally, I love Sanford and Son. It's one of my favorite comedic TV shows from back in the day. Some people would say they love the Jeffersons. I was like, I never was a huge fan of the Jeffersons. I never was a huge fan of All in the Family with Archie Bunker or shit. Damn. I forgot the other one. The other one that had Esther Roll and J.J. Jimmy Walker and John Amos. Damn, and I know the. Oh well. Anyway, I never liked that one. Had a young Janet Jackson in it, where they played a family living in Chicago in the ghetto. Never was a big fan of that show, but. Since everyone brought up all these cartoons that they thought were funny, I'm going to go with the original Looney Tunes.
That's all, folks.
Yeah.
You were Tom and Jerry.
Although, I have to be honest, I really didn't like Bugs Bunny. He's not my favorite Looney Tune.
It's
I like Daffy Duck.
that's kind of odd. I'm wondering, my least favorite would be Pepe Le Pew.
I mean, if you can get over the fact that he's trying to rape every female creature that he sees, yeah. Which I mean, now in the world, in the political culture
Correct
we live
world.
in now, in the politically correct culture we have now, you could not have Pepe Le Pew. Although, if you change the joke into him trying to rape female characters and they pepper spray him in the face with mace, that actually could be a funny joke.
But isn't the joke that he mistakes?
What?
But isn't the joke that he mistakes them for skunks because of the white outline on their back?
He doesn't care. Haven't you seen the cartoons where there's this dog that and she's like, I'm a dog. He's like, yeah, I'm a. And he unzips. He's like wearing a skunk suit, and underneath the skunk suit is a dog suit. He's like, well, I'm a dog too. and then he unzips it, and he's still a skunk, and he's like, I'm stupid. No, Pepe Le Pew is incredibly horny, and he will anything that has female organs, he will try and hit it. Okay.
Yeah, but if anything, he's one of those characters that make you wonder how much torment are these girls going to be taken before they realize what happened to them and have to and take care of that problem.
Well, I will give you this much. I mean, he is really handsy, but he doesn't try to rape them, or at least he doesn't try to knock them out and do things and molest them. Like a certain person who had a cartoon that I never really enjoyed, but you might remember this theme song. Down, 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 gonna have a good time. Hey, hey, hey. No.
Oh,
Albert.
no.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 Bill, don't give him that quick.
You're probably saying that because of the person that's associated with it.
Bill, what he said.
I'm face palming because I actually tried to evade that.
But anyway, but let's see what other animated. So yeah, I like Daffy Duck. That's like my favorite Looney Tune character, followed by
The Laugh Olympics and Whale Wacky Races for me. I just remembered those.
Yeah, those are good, but I was doing it chronologically. Like the oldest Looney Tunes just had those characters, like the classic lineup. You know, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck.
Yeah.
Porky Pig.
What?
Porky Pig.
Porky Pig, Elmer Fudd, Tweety Bird, Sylvester, Granny, and then you had the years where the old guard kind of retired and they brought in new people, and you had the Tex Avery years where he created Droopy, who Droopy was hilarious because
he's flat toned and yet he gets into the funniest of situations and gets even lucky.
He was completely outclassed until someone would mess with him. He's like, you know what? You make me mad. And he beat the shit out of somebody. And Tex Avery also did he did the Big Bad Wolf sketches where like they had this wolf. Yeah, they had this wolf who was always chasing after this really, really hot redhead. I guess that's why I like cartoon redheads, because of Tex Avery, son of a bitch. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't help that April O'Neil from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Jessica Rabbit were hot, curvy redheads. Hot, tall, curvy redheads.
Take some water, Red Fox. Those you don't want to burn yourself here.
No, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I just realized some of my first fake crushes against cartoon characters were all hot, curvy, tall redheads. Who knew? But anyway, the cool thing is that there are practically no hot, curvy, tall redheads in the real world. So it's not even there's no real temptation. But let's see, the Tex Avery years, which gave us that weird, crazy, loco-ass squirrel that like Looney Tunes has never brought back, but was hilarious. Obviously, you had the Looney Tune competitors like Popeye the Sailor Man and Harvey Tunes with Woody Woodpecker and Little Audrey and Huey the Duck. Ugh. Sorry, Huey the Duck and forgot his name. Like baby Huey. Ugh.
Baby
God.
Louie.
Yeah, Baby Louie. Yeah.
And what about the original duo, Tom and Jerry?
Oh yes. I liked Tom and Jerry, except I know this is gonna sound really bad, but I always rooted for Tom.
Which kind of makes me wonder what the world were you on? Shrooms?
No, like, because here's the thing, okay? Jerry is a vermin. he's a mouse living in someone else's house. He's not supposed to be there, so they got a cat to get rid of him. Okay, like Tom is doing what he's supposed to do.
Considering the cat usually does as much destruction on more than the mouse.
Because look, he's just trying to do what he's got to do. Now Sylvester trying to eat Tweety Bird is different because Tweety Bird is like in a cage. He's Granny's pet. Okay, that's bad. But Jerry's a damn vermin. So
yeah,
you gotta go.
He's the thing is, I would agree with you though. Seeing what Tom does in order to try to get Jerry.
Well, when it works, it works. Like I remember watching this episode where Tom's cousin, who's got like bad nerves, comes to see him, and his cousin looks just like him, or is it not his cousin? His brother. His brother looks just like him, but he's got bad nerves and he's scared of everything. So whenever, like, sometimes his brother will like see Jerry, he'll get freaked the fuck out. He's like, "Oh God!" and Jerry thinks, "I can totally scare this. I finally got the edge on Tom." And so there's like this big mismatch thing where Jerry will sometimes like try and scare the other cat, but it's a switcheroo where it's really Tom and not his brother. But finally, his brother gets over his scariness, and then they team up to scare the hell out of Jerry. They scare him so much that he goes for the home of infirm and mentally broken mice. And they do this thing where they intertwine their bodies so it looks like one body with 4 arms and 2 heads, and laughing, chasing down Jerry. And he freaks the fuck out and runs away.
That was one of my favorite episodes. Times I actually had to be cheering for Tom because for once he actually drove Jerry insane.
Exactly. It was like, and then there's the one where like they blow up the house, and it has one of my favorite lines. You can use this line for a lot of bullshit busting.
Yeah, I remember it.
There's this white mouse that escapes from a lab that like drank a whole bunch of nitroglycerin.
This is why I
don't like it, and it blows up, and they're like
Tom at times.
Yeah, you hear from the radio. Yeah, it was a hoax, folks. The nitroglycerin has lost its efficiency, and it's no longer a danger. And Jerry looks up and he says, "Don't you believe it?" Like, I feel like saying that whenever I hear someone say, like a politician say something so outlandishly full of shit. Like, I wish people would, "Don't you believe it?"
Yeah. The main thing, this is the reason why I prefer Jerry over Tom. Jerry's usually the one that doesn't destroy things when trying to run.
Shit. He destroys shit.
He doesn't destroy as much as Tom.
Yeah, but I mean, Tom lives there, and if Jerry, like, here's the thing: if Jerry wasn't in the house, Tom wouldn't be destroying shit. Jerry is the catalyst for shit getting destroyed, even though he might not do it himself. Of course, Tom is a Tom. He's an unspayed tomcat. So you always have those episodes where Tom is totally like trying to. He's down to smash, and he's trying desperately. They do a cover of Louis Jordan's "Is You Is" or "Is You Ain't My Baby."
Yeah, the main thing. This is one of those times where I see Jerry being the one trying to rail on Tom.
And he's like, "Come on, baby, you don't need to do that." He's like, "Look, I'm an unspayed male cat. I have one biological imperative, and you're fucking it up." And this is where we also got introduced to one of my favorite side characters in the Tom and Jerry series, which is Spike and his son Junior.
Spike and Tyke.
Yeah, Spike and Tyke. He's like, "That's my boy," which was he was basically doing a riff on Jimmy Durante's voice. That's my boy. But yeah, I like Tom and Jerry. It's just not like early Tom and Jerry. I can't get because it was kind of racist where they had like the black mammy housewife. House help. And I was like, you know what, fuck you, Hanna-Barbera. But then later on they got rid of that, so I could enjoy it more. There's like a middle portion of Tom and Jerry when it was great, and then towards the end it got kind of shitty when they changed the animation style, which I'm not happy about. But there was like a middle portion when it was great. What else? What other TV shows were funny?
Well, Flintstones as a comedy.
I mean, it was more of a sitcom, just like the Jetsons was more of a sitcom, but they were funny. It's like some of the stuff they snuck in. Like here's what I'll say that Hanna-Barbera was ahead of the curve compared to Warner Brothers with their Looney Tunes. Think about how characters were born in Looney Tunes. There's always a stork, right? The stork delivered the babies. Flintstones totally just without nonchalantly. Wilma was pregnant. There was no fucking stork. Fred and Wilma fucked. Okay.
I was about to make the joke that you missed it. He bedrocked her.
Yeah. He bedrocked Wilma. And considering that like Barney and Betty were married for years and they had to adopt, I think Fred was busting those rocks a little bit better than old Barney Rubble over there.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah. So
I'm surprised you missed that joke. Seriously.
Well, but anyway, but notice, I mean, think about it. A show that actually acknowledges that people
life happens.
And there wasn't a stork. Like Fred and Wilma had one bed in their house before they had the baby. They was fucking. I mean, think about it. They never even hinted that people had babies like normal people. Like you'd watch old sitcoms like Ward and June Cleaver with two beds. I'm like, what married couple do you know got two damn beds? I mean, how are they supposed to fuck? Like someone sneak over and just do what they need to do and then go back to their bed? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, in short, it was obvious what happened, and if anything, the Walk crew probably has the best man at the job.
Yeah. It's like Fred Flintstone. I'm good at busting rocks. And plus all those weird. Plus, I like the whole like they had like prehistoric animals doing the work, and then it would be something weird, and like the animal would look at the camera and say, it's a living," you know.
Yeah.
Like a little mammoth is the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, those creatures usually end up in a unusual situation.
It's a living. Yeah, I mean, I like the Jetsons too. The Jetsons, see, this is why I say Hanna-Barbera in some ways, especially in the content of their cartoons, was ahead of Looney Tunes. Because, I mean, like, they had a whole episode where Jane and George went on a couples retreat. Like, they left Judy and Elroy at home and went on a couples retreat to reignite their fire. And Jane fucking wears this scanty ass outfit and dances with a mask on, and she gets her husband so hot and bothered that after that they got home, they was fucking. Look, listen, George Jetson's like, look, I got a big nose, I got big feet.
There's something else that's big in it.
Let's see what's gonna happen. But you know, Hanna-Barbera, in a lot of ways, their shows had a lot of
personality.
well, they just like it was less. There was less bullshit, is what I'm saying. Like they had clearly characters had more mature relationships in there going on. Like they had like okay, there was episodes. There was an episode of the Jetsons where Jane thought her husband was cheating on her, and they actually explored that. It turned out to be a big misrepresentation, but you get what I'm saying. Like you would not see that really, particularly unless you're talking about Pepe Le Pew in the one episode where you find out he has a wife. But typically, you would not see that in a Looney Tune episode, just because you know they weren't going to go with that. But yeah. I mean, I thought Hanna-Barbera was really good. Hanna-Barbera was good up until they got bought by the Cartoon Network, and they kind of went downhill a little bit. But they still were pretty good because then you had the next generation of great Hanna-Barbera cartoons like Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, K&D.
Oh, the Powerpuff Girls are actually Hanna-Barbera?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They were under the aegis of Hanna-Barbera. Just like Dexter's Lab was under the aegis of Hanna-Barbera, Kids Next Door.
Believe it or not, some of the best shows that I liked from that time is Hanna-Barbera. Then I'm actually surprised.
As well as Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. Ding, 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 ding.
And we all know that useless bag that always scares the dog.
Eustace Bag, stupid dog, you made me look bad. Booga, booga, booga. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, I loved like Courage the Cowardly Dog is one of those shows that was so absurdly hilarious sometimes. Like it was like that's just funny as hell.
It's weird and yet funny at the same time. I loved it.
More of a horror comedy.
What?
More of a horror comedy because there's some pretty darn scary moments.
Oh yeah, the Great Fusili who turns people into puppets. Or one of my favorite episodes is Doc Gerbil, the one that had Doc Gerbil in it. It's like a two-parter where like it's got this like Doc Gerbil is this gerbil who is like part of this like he was a test subject in this place that tests commercial products, but he made himself big and now he goes around getting humans and turning them into test animals, shrinking them down and turning them into test animals. So like Eustace is in this is in this vacuum cleaner that shrinks people down, and it like there's like this weird lady in there with him who's got suction cups for hands, and she's like, "This is my man, this is mine." It's like so fucked up. It's like Jesus Christ, but it's also funny. It's so fucked up. It's funny. It's like Courage was like that. It was like, this is fucked up, but I can't stop watching because it's also really funny. Let's see what else. I mean, Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo was a barrel of laughs because just seeing how hilariously Johnny failed at almost everything. And of course, Powerpuff Girls, who had the most hilarious villain ever. And I don't mean him. I mean Mojo Jojo the monkey. Sorry, the chimpanzee.
And we could talk about
funny movies.
Yeah, funny movies. Like I'll go with the obvious: Monty Python, The Holy Grail.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's pretty damn funny.
I really need to watch that movie. It's been a while.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty damn funny. I want to tell you one of my favorite movies, funny movies. Anything from Mel Brooks, except for Dracula Dead and Loving It. but High Anxiety, Springtime with not Springtime with Hitler. The producers.
History of the World Part 1.
History of the World Part 1, Spaceballs, Hollywood, Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Blazing Saddles.
Oh shit, Blazing Saddles. Look, it has like 7 minutes of people farting, eating beans and farting in this campfire scene. And the guy's like, what in the wide world of sports is going on here? Oh, that's such a funny movie. That has an astonishingly good theme song. Because they got the guy who did the theme songs for a lot of westerns in like the 50s to do the theme song of Blazing Saddles, but Mel Brooks didn't tell him it was a comedy. So you have this awesome theme song, but it's a comedy. It's a comedy based on a real person, though. There really was a sheriff of a little town in the West called Black Bart because he was black. And he really cleaned up the town. So it's actually based on a real guy.
So it's not really a parody of pretty much every Western.
No, it's a parody too, but it's actually based on a real person. Like like the song says, he conquered crime and he conquered hate. But yeah, like Blazing Saddles is just one of those really fucking good movies. It's just hilariously good. And I'm gonna say 2 movies that have Bill Cosby in them, but they also have Sidney Poitier, so that balances it out because I've never heard of Sidney Poitier doing anything sick to anybody that are comedies. Uptown Saturday Night and Let's Do It Again.
Those sound kind of grabby names.
Well, they're 70s blaxploitation comedy films. Uptown Saturday Night is a film about it's a film about these 2 guys who basically like they're like working class people in the city, and one of them buys a lotto ticket, and it's the winning ticket. And they take their wives out for a night on the town, and they get robbed by this gangster. Like they go to like an underground nightclub. They get robbed by this gangster, so now they got to get the ticket back. That the shit was stolen. Who stole their stuff? And it's like all these hijinks ensue. There's like Bill Cosby plays this guy who's kind of like a hustler, where he's like he goes into this hangout for gangsters, and he's talking shit. And then he winds up getting his ass kicked by the gangster, who's kind of short, but the guy apparently knows kung fu or some shit, so he kicks his ass. It's actually pretty damn funny. It's a pretty damn funny movie. Let's Do It Again. Also, same general premise, except these 2 guys basically take the funds for their church and bet them, and then win the bet, and basically use that money to like repay their church. Plus, they take a little bit for themselves. And but they use illicit means to win the bet, and they're figured out, so they got to do it again. And that's the whole point, is that they gotta figure out a way out of this. It's actually pretty damn funny. But those are the only films with Bill Cosby in them that are pretty damn funny. Don't watch Leonard Part 6. It's terrible.
Or Ghost Dad. Oh God, the cheese.
Yeah, Ghost Dad's not good either. Yeah, that's just a bad movie.
I was saying the cheese in it is terrible.
Yeah, or Meteor Man. Well, Meteor Man's not that bad, but
what about movies that are not intended to be comedies but are treated like comedies regardless?
Like The Room.
Yep, I was about to mention that.
Tearing me apart, Lisa. Yeah, but I mean, the reason that movie is funny is because it's terrible. It's not funny because it was intended to be funny. Even though Tommy Wiseau, after it came out, and people were like, "This shit is shit." He's like, no, it was meant to be a comedy. No, motherfucker. No, you were serious. This is not meant to be a comedy. You make a shitty movie. Let's see what else. What other movies?
The one that I remember the best in a sense, as far as my memory goes, would be The Mask.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I mean, Jim Carrey in practically. I mean, hell, the two Ace Venturas were funny as hell.
Oh yes.
Do you feel it? Do you feel it? And his talking ass.
Oh
I
God.
can't control it. I can't control him. He's trying to get out. Although the second one isn't quite as funny as the first one, they're still both really funny.
What about the Will Ferrell movies?
Will Ferrell's hit or miss. Like Will Ferrell is hit or miss. Like the first Anchorman is funny, the second one not quite as much.
I'm not sure what to make of that guy. Will
Old
Ferrell.
School is pretty funny, but I mean, like Will Ferrell's like hit or miss. Sometimes he's hilarious. Sometimes, like those movies where he plays the dad, like the stepdad, and he's like the other step. Like those aren't very good. But like I said, Will Ferrell's hit or miss. Like sometimes he's really funny, and sometimes it's just not. You know, like Will Ferrell is funny in small doses. Like you can't build an entire movie with him just being, you know, the funny guy. Sadly. But he was funny on Saturday Night Live, though. Like where he's Alex Trebek on those Jeopardy skits.
Yep.
Or Daryl Hammond as Sean Connery. My mother is in it, sir. My mother is in a nursing home. That wasn't the only thing she was nursing last night, Trebek.
Ladies and gentlemen, perverted humor.
You poltroon, you Montebank. And Norm Macdonald as Burt Reynolds. How about Fang Ho as Chen Ho? That's totally racist, and no, that's not the answer. Yeah, I think it is. That's not. What's wrong with you? Yeah. Will Ferrell was funny in spurts, but like I don't think you can build an entire movie around Will Ferrell just quipping. Like I don't think he's funny like that. I think the only Saturday Night Live people who were funny like that are like the old school, like original Saturday Night Live people, like Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray. So Ghostbusters. The first Ghostbusters is funny, folks. It's funny. Basically, anything that had Bill Murray and Harold Ramis partnering up was guaranteed to be funny. So like the first Caddyshack, Stripes, Ghostbusters, Trading Places is funny. Spies Like Us is funny. Hell, Dan Aykroyd's first movie, Dr. Detroit, is hilarious as hell. Dr. Detroit. Because it has Dan Aykroyd doing his best evil doctor impression. So,
and we could also talk about another comedian who's fallen from grace, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy just is not funny anymore. I mean, what was the last film that he did that was funny?
Probably in the late 90s.
That you can remember.
Dr. Dolittle?
Yeah, Dr. Dolittle was funny. I thought Norbit had some funny bits. That's about it. Like, Mr. Church was funny, but not because it was funny. It was funny because it was just sad seeing Eddie Murphy trying really hard to do comedy after so long. Like, he was in Trading Places, and that was funny. He was in Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3. 3 sucked, but 1 and 2 were good. The Golden Child, that was a good movie. Vampire in Brooklyn was good too.
Then there's the Nutty Professor.
The Nutty Professor was good. The Nutty Professor was funny as hell. Especially where he did all those bodysuits and was everyone at the table except the little kid. Coming to America was funny. Boomerang was kind of funny. Like Eddie Murphy had a good string from like 1984 to like 94. It's like 10 years where he was pretty damn good. And then it just kind of went to shit. Then he came back with the Nutty Professor and the Nutty Professor 2 and Dr. Dolittle. And then he just disappeared. So.
And the same can be said with Mike Myers.
Yeah, but we know why Mike Myers went away, because he did The Love Guru, and that movie was fucking, oh god, that movie was so bad. Oh, that movie was so bad. Oh, Jesus, that movie was fucking embarrassingly bad. That movie was so bad it killed his career until he came back with Shrek. So, but no live action shit, which is sad because Mike Myers, if he does the right character, can be funny, you know?
Right.
Dr. Dolittle. Dr. Dolittle 2.
What about Key and Peele?
They're funny. Their show is funny, but that segues into the show that they basically were copying.
The David Chappelle Show.
The Chappelle Show. Chappelle Show. Bow. Chappelle Show. That show just had so many skits that were just hilarious. Like his musical parodies, like R. Kelly's "I Want to Pee on You." And the remix, "Lovers Wanna Love, I Wanna Take None of the Above, I Want to Pee on You. Drip, 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 pee on you." I mean, it's just hilarious. His Rick James skits. I mean, almost like so much shit. The Player Haters Club, the racial draft. Hell, even some of the side people were funny, like the holler dude. Can I holler? Can I holler? Hey, bitch, can't you hear me? I'm hollering at you, bitch. Holla, 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 holla. I mean, just so much shit was funny on that show. It's a shame Dave Chappelle threw it all away because, for whatever reason, he's never given a clear reason as to why.
Then you got some really bad comedy shows like the Carlos Mencia Show. And I was sadly one of those people who used to watch it.
Watch what?
The Carlos Mencia Show.
Yeah, the only reason I don't like Carlos Mencia, well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons I don't like Carlos Mencia. First of all, I didn't find his jokes to be that funny. Like, I was like, eh. I mean, and then I found out he stole most of his jokes, which, you know, didn't help. And then I found out that he's doing all these jokes about Mexicans and he's not even Mexican, which is just kind of disingenuous, you know?
Right.
It's, you know, it's just like, man, you don't get to make those types of jokes, sir. But, I mean, you know, Carlos Mencia wasn't terrible. He just wasn't like, I don't think hilariously funny. Captain Williams is kind of funny, but not hilariously funny.
Now we got another Hispanic comedian named Fluffy.
Oh, you mean Gabriel Iglesias?
Yeah.
You know, he was originally the fat kid on All That, right?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, which was our answer when we were little kids to Saturday Night Live, because it came out on Friday, and it had cleaner humor, and sometimes it was really funny. Like a lot of kids that you see, a lot of people that you see now are like major comedians started on that show, like
like Keenan and Kel.
Keenan Thomas. Yes, the Saturday Night Live black guy. yeah, he started on all that. So it wasn't that much of a jump for him to go to Saturday Night Live from where he was, because he's already basically doing the same damn thing. Let's see what else. Amanda Bynes. Well, she lost her damn mind. I thought she could beat the curse, but she couldn't apparently.
Right. Back already, Joel?
Yeah, trying to be tech support, and well, stupid happens.
We were just talking about comedians and all that.
Yeah, Gabriel Iglesias was on all that, which was actually a pretty good show.
Yeah,
it was
all
like
that
basically
all that was a good variety show. Kind of
Yeah.
like the Roadhouse too.
I was
said
with you
kind
too.
of.
Yeah. All that was basically our answer to Saturday Night Live, except it was on Nickelodeon, so kids could watch it. But it was basically like Saturday Night Live, except it came out on Friday. There also was an alternative Saturday Night Live, and it was on Fox. It was called Mad TV. But before Mad
You were
TV,
watching Mad TV.
yeah, before Mad TV came out, there was another alternative to Saturday Night Live on Fox, and it was called In Living Color. You can do what you want to do. In Living Color. And In Living Color gave us a lot of comedians that you might not know, but they're around. Jamie Foxx started on In Living Color. David Allen Greer, Tommy Davidson, and of course the most famous, Jim Carrey.
Of course.
As Fire Marshal Bill. and dysfunctional grandpa Jim.
Guess I killed the silence.
But let's see, who else? I don't know. Let's see. We got a little bit of time left. Any other comedic things you guys want to bring up before we wrap things up and pimp out our next projects or whatever?
Should we consider the family's funniest home videos?
I mean,
I didn't hear that one, so I'm in the dark.
Families, America's Funniest Home Videos.
MVs.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
It had what's his name? The dad from Bob Saget from Full House.
They're basically the family-friendly precursor of those fail blog videos that we see on YouTube.
Yeah, but most of it was just watching people just doing pratfalls and hitting themselves in the nuts by accident. Like that's basically what most of it was. You know, something really embarrassing and not very funny happening to someone, and just like for real. And that was supposed to be funny. It's because of America's Funniest Home Videos, we got the fire water challenge. You know, where people would pour alcohol on themselves, light it on fire, and then we'd have some poor kid screaming in the background, "Get under the fucking water! Get under the water!" You go look that shit up on YouTube. It's sad, but also kind of funny, because I'm like, this dude's like screaming, "I gotta get under the water." Why'd you douse yourself with alcohol and light it, dumbass?
There's some things that make me wonder, are humans really losing intelligence?
No, they've always been doing this stuff since before the rise of the internet and home videos.
But whatever. But anyone else?
I'm at least good, and if anybody's wondering, I'm doing playtesting, but otherwise I'm alright. Got nothing big going on.
And there's also an animal equivalent of America's Funniest Home Videos called Planet's Funniest Animals.
Yeah, I just like it's like YouTube has these videos, right, where they're like, look at these animals being adorable, right? And as someone who actually has some knowledge about like things you should and should not do with nature. Like they have this one. It's like, man, isn't this puffer fish? It's all bloated up and squirting water out of its body. Funny. I'm like,
no,
that's actually killing the animal, you
defenses.
stupid bastard. Or they like show they have a dog and they're feeding the dog something that you shouldn't be feeding a dog, and they're like, isn't this cute? You're killing that
No.
animal. Or there's this one where they take a small gray toy and they throw it on carpet that's a gray speckled color, and then they pull it away and the dog's like, where'd it go? I'm like, you do realize animals are colorblind. That's like fucking with an animal, right? Like that's just an asshole thing to do to someone, to anybody, much less an animal.
I mean, if anything, if they can only see black and white, that'd be.
Well, it's not black and white, but it's kind of like how humans are colorblind. Like there's certain shades we just can't see well or at all, really. So all we see is the movement, not the color. And that's what you're doing to the animal. That's a dick move to do to somebody. That's just fucking with somebody, really.
Yeah, which kind of makes it hard to be sympathetic to some of these animals that are in commercials. And
now we got.
I have to wonder who.
Now we got. Sorry, you continue.
And I was going to say, it makes me wonder how the fudge do some of these people think that using animals is a good way of commercializing some things, like chicken between two guys.
Yeah, it is kind of like a cockfight, but I mean, it's just sad. It is really sad. People are just way too into the shit. But anyway, I guess I can pimp out what's on my channel. I only had like 2 videos come out this week, 2 or 3. I was gonna do a third, but probably not. I will be definitely releasing some gameplay footage of me playing Final Fight, the arcade collection on the Switch tomorrow, because I've really been enjoying that game. That entire 7-game compilation where it's like you pay basically $3.30 per game and you get 7 games. It's ridiculous. What?
Oh, continue.
Or is it $2.80? It's more $2.80 than $3.80. But anyway, a ridiculously low price, 7 games, 4 of which are well known. The other 3 are lesser known.
Brand new.
Well, no, they're not brand new. They came out years ago, but
in brand new to the scene of sorts.
Yeah. 3 of them never had home ports, and one of them came out in like 1998 or 97 or 98 when arcades were like dying. So like no one played it anyway. But it's pretty fun. So like this arcade collection is missing some games that I wish were in it, like Alien vs. Predator, the Punisher game, but those are licensing issues, not
right, like Capcom being Capcom.
Yeah, it's not a Capcom being Capcom thing, because these games, if you play them, are like okay, there's a reason Capcom was called the king of coin-op beat-em-ups, because basically these games feel really good to play, like obscenely good. Like it's buttery smooth. But I'll talk more about that tomorrow when we have BS Busters at 7:30 to 9 tomorrow.
And also a reminder, next Saturday I won't be available because I'll be away for the rest of that day.
Got business to tend to. That's okay. We'll pour one out for you, and we hope something good. We hope you pass your trials and everything like that. So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you. Remember, have fun. Peace.
And hype responsibly.